Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Star Wars comic review. This one's going to be for Star Wars Obi-Wan and Anakin, issue number 4. 4 of 5, so this is the second last issue of this series, only one to go. And overall, I liked the issue. I did. It's definitely made things very interesting going into one more left. But I think it also kind of put some of the ongoing kind of mysteries into play in a less than interesting way, as I'll get into. I felt like it oversimplified some of the things, but added a different layer to it. It's one of those ones where, because right now, I haven't seen anyone else talk about this comic. I really have no idea what the general opinion on this issue is right now. So I'm kind of going in just okay, this is my own opinion, having read it, and I'm a little mixed on it. For the most part, it's good. There are aspects of it where I just don't know if one issue is enough to resolve everything in the next one. I'm kind of questioning, I think you should have made a more obvious connection between the flashback stuff, why Anakin has decided to leave the Jedi Order, and how you're potentially having this story, this present day story, as a way to have Anakin realize that he should stay, because obviously, at least as far as we're aware, Anakin doesn't leave. Maybe they're going to end this with him properly leaving for a while, and just Obi-Wan and Anakin are separated for a while after this story. But I'm thinking that probably this is going to convince Anakin to stay, and I'm not seeing where that's coming from just yet. But let's get into the issue. Let's actually talk about what happens. We start where we ended off, of course, last time out. Anakin has been captured by Kalara and primarily Mother Pran. They've attacked the ship that Obi-Wan and Gregor were left on, and Kalara was not particularly happy about this sudden turn in things. She's like, okay, we'll take Anakin, but she was very shocked when they just fired upon the ship. So they get away. Obi-Wan saves Gregor, and when they land on the ground, they are faced with more of these kind of zombie-like creatures on the ground. Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber, and rather than killing them, like Gregor tells him to, he basically just slices a rock in half. And this is enough of a statement to kind of show these creatures that we are going to get chopped in half if we attack this person, and they flee. He then gets pretty angry at Gregor and is just like, where did they take Anakin? And Gregor's just like, I really don't know, but probably one of their fortresses. They tend to have fortresses in the mountainsides, around the Saladon Sea. And, from there, you get this idea that, Gregor starts to blame the fact that, okay, we need these kind of breather masks to breathe in this atmosphere because the open poisoned the air during the war. And there's all this thing about but Mother Pran told me that the clothes started the war, and he's just like, no, they're lying. And Obi-Wan's just like, does it really matter? You're both kind of arguing with each other over who started it, and you seem to not know exactly who did what in the war. So it's an interesting setup for sure. We then cut away from that to the what's called the Fortress Home of the Open, which you see they have a good amount of technology there, so a lot more of those airships. You can see sort of the idea of what they're going for here. Mother Pran obviously still has Anakin captive. She takes out the droid brain that he repaired and places it into one of the machines, revealing that basically what she was aiming for in the first place was that someone who knew about technology and could repair it would be able to bring their kind of Metal Gears basically back to life. That's exactly what they look like, Metal Gears from Metal Gear Solid. But they're droids, they call them droids, and they just talk about, now this changes everything, thanks Anakin we can win the war. And he's still bound, he's not being able to talk here, he's got the thing over his mouth. So he hasn't helped the Open in this case. Which is a weird thing in that the setup for this issue was that Obi-Wan and Anakin on opposite sides of this war, when Anakin was captured, and the droid brain he repaired was before any of the side stuff happened. But we cut then to the flashback. Immediately after Anakin and Chancellor Palpatine return from that club with that senator, Anakin has clearly obviously used the Force to change the chance cube so that the senator has lost a lot of money, and this gives the Chancellor now a chance to basically be like, look, if this senator wants to continue being a senator, he's going to have to borrow a lot of money. We're going to be able to find that out, and we'll get him this time. But he just says, I'll try, but Calandris is only one viper among many. An open attempt to remove him from office could be dangerous for me. I never should have involved you in this. Anakin makes an interesting note here. He says, but you have the Jedi, you can order them to do it for you. And Palpatine responds by saying, Anakin, the Jedi are not mine, they are under senatorial authority. Asking them to arrest a senator, well, it would be a serious matter. If they were required to obey my commands in such a way, it would make me no more than a dictator. That is not my wish. And Anakin says, then if you can't, and the Jedi can't, who can? And he just kind of goes on, like, that, my boy, is the question that keeps me awake at night. Don't tell any of this to your Jedi Masters. And you can see that what Palpatine is trying to do here is basically say that the Senate won't let me do anything. I can't really order the Jedi to do anything. So nothing can really be accomplished. And the hint I think they're trying to go for here is that, Anakin, if you left the Jedi Order, you could do this stuff for me. If you were just my ally, my, problem solver. You used some of your Jedi skills, you learned some political stuff from me, you could help me accomplish a lot. Outside of the Senate, outside of the Jedi, you yourself could do a lot. And I think this manipulation is why the cover is the way it is. That you see it's Vader's helmet, Vader hasn't been in any way hinted at for the most part in this comic, outside of the Anakin Chancellor thing. And you see that just that kind of over the head of Vader, that this is, I suppose, the first hints as to Chancellor Palpatine trying to do this. He then asks him, if you're happy in the temple. He says, training to become a Jedi is all I ever wanted. And he says that, I feel I owe you, Anakin. You performed a tremendous service to me when my home planet was under attack. I want you to know that there's always a place for you with me, once your training is complete, of course. I could make extraordinary use of a young man like yourself. So that's where we end off with Palpatine for this issue. I could make use of someone like you. And the implication is that, I could only do that once your training is complete, though. And immediately we cut to another scene of Anakin and Obi-Wan have just talked, and we start off on this page here with Obi-Wan saying, you wish to step away from your training, Anakin. You must understand that this is an extremely serious decision. You cannot make it lightly, and at your young age it's even more significant, the consequences. He says, I know about significant decisions. And he justifies his leaving by basically saying, do you know how I joined the Order? My mother asked Qui-Gon if he would take me away. I saw a magic man with a sword made out of light and a starship. I was a slave on a world made of dust. What was I going to say? No? So there's this idea that, I'm not invested in the Jedi. I said yes to get off the planet. And then he says on the next page, I know my training isn't complete. I have more to learn that I can learn from you and the other Jedi, but not all of it. I can't complete everything I need to know, suggesting the Chancellor, of course. I can feel the galaxy calling to me, Master. I need to answer it. I don't want to wait. This doesn't have to be forever. I can always come back. And Obi-Wan reluctantly takes Anakin's lightsaber, which is why he's without it. So, this idea that I don't think he fully believes what he's saying here. But he is somewhat frustrated that as a Jedi he is restricted from doing some of the things that he wishes he could do to help people. And he's, I suppose for now, wishing that he's kind of going to go under the mentorship of Palpatine. But obviously, I assume issue 5, in terms of its flashback, is probably going to cover Anakin and Obi-Wan being given the mission and sent, and maybe a little last meeting with Palpatine that happens. That's basically the last we get of the flashback in this issue, and it's interesting because I'm not yet seeing the absolute connection just yet. Okay, I get where they were going for. Palpatine has gradually manipulated Anakin here into seeing like look, I can't do anything, Jedi can't do anything, but someone outside of these two things could. And you've already done a little bit for me, helping me take down the Senator. We could do so much more. Like, I sort of see what they're going for here, but I'm waiting for them to just fully 100% hit home what this has kind of been about. And as I said, I've yet to see the connection between Anakin being on this mission and him making a decision either way. Just because Anakin, I don't feel, has been much of a focus in the present day story. It's mainly been related to the flashback. But yeah, the Obi-Wan and Gregor walk through the streets. These crazy animals approach them. Obi-Wan is about to attack. Gregor sets off a flare to basically call for help, and you get these ideas that Gregor has something planned here. He's not telling Obi-Wan everything. Obi-Wan's getting a bit suspicious. A door opens behind Gregor, and a new person arrives, saying, get in here. You'll be safe. As Gregor goes to get in, he basically says, close the door. Obi-Wan's still outside. The new person shoots Gregor, assumedly killing him since he's not in the issue after this point. Obi-Wan walks in, and it's revealed that, this person has basically saved Obi-Wan. That, he was trying to get me to close the door on you. I know you're a Jedi. Come along. I've been waiting for you. And inside we get a pretty big reveal in relation to the story of this comic. The person takes off their mask, and it's revealed to be this fairly old-looking woman. And she's got this room full of art, technology, culture basically of this planet. And her name is Sarah, S-E-R-A, and she knows he's a Jedi, and she basically says, this place is my life's work. Remnants of the world that was, salvaged from the dead lands outside. Seeds for a new future. Obi-Wan puts, two and two together, and basically says, oh, you were the one sending the kites, aka the sky gifts. All of these little things that are kind of floating down that the closed and open are trying to get are little packages sent by her. And the implication here is that what she's trying to do, as she kind of later explains, is that none of the stuff she's sending is of military importance, of technological importance. She's sending pieces of art basically around the place. And her aim is to basically convince the youth of the open and the closed that there's more to the conflict than just war. That there's culture here. If you end the conflict and work together, you can bring this back by working together. I think that's the implication that's happening here. She says, you send up the kites. Yes, small things. It's my hope that from time to time they will find their way into the hands of people receptive to what they represent. It's too late for the old generation. Their souls are as poisoned as the world. But the young, there's always hope in the young. And it's revealed that she was the one who who set up the beacon to call for the Jedi. So the reason they're coming here in the first place is because of her. So straight away, super interesting. She says, yes, but I'm old. I'll be dead soon. I need someone to finish my work. Definitely foreshadowing something there. And she mentions that, I scavenge the world searching for anything beautiful that she can send around. But she realizes that, she doesn't have the strength to really force a change in the open and the closed, that rivalry. But the Jedi, she's seen little videos of them and how powerful they are with their swords of light and so on. They do have the strength to change things. And she shows Obi-Wan this little video clip, this little hologram of a Force user wielding a lightsaber. We don't know if it's light or dark side. Obi-Wan doesn't seem to draw too much attention to it in the sense of we don't see his reaction to the Jedi as such. But there's the image we get there. Definitely someone with a lightsaber. They seem to be wearing some form of a mask. But if they're on this planet, you can understand why that's the case. But I'm getting a kind of Kylo Ren type look from this guy. But obviously the timeline in no way matches up to that. But if it is a much older video, it could link back to the Jedi Malachor stuff, more ancient Jedi warriors, but Obi-Wan says, but we may not need to do that much. The open and closed just work together. I saw Gregor and Mother Pran work together, but she just says, no, if that's true, the only reason they worked together was because it was an opportunity to find me. Both closed and open have been searching for me for as long as they've known of my existence. And then she kind of gives this a closing little monologue as we get our final scene with Mother Pran, Anakin, and Kalara. She says, Sarah says, the closed and open wish to forget the old time, Obi-Wan. No, they wish to erase it. The things I've gathered, the bits of art I send up on the kites, they just remind the leaders of everything they've lost, how badly they've failed. They want to destroy everything here more than they want to destroy each other. That's the only reason they work together. Closed, open, they only understand one thing: war. As we get the final page of just the open with all their newly activated droids and preparing an attack on something. The final page lacks a little bit of impact because we have no idea who they're attacking. Like, we haven't really got the full lay of the land with regards to how heavy in number the open and closed really are. I think they've kind of forgotten that we've only really got to meet like 4 or 5 people on this planet, and that we don't really know the full scale of the war. In that Grecker is the only closed we've met so far. It's definitely implied there were others out there and they have their own bases, but how did they know with just by having these droids where that is? Is Mother Pran feigning an attack on Obi-Wan? Is she trying to kill Grecker here just without knowing that he's already dead? Like, what's the situation here? Like, what is the battle going to be? I assume it's going to be Obi-Wan facing off against all of these droids, while Anakin, as we get on the previous page here, it's just, Pran basically lies to Anakin. She says, Anakin, this is very important. We need to know the location of the distress signal. Grecker was plotting against Obi-Wan all along. He wants your master to lead him to the source of the signal, and then he'll kill him. Now that you've helped us activate the mechs, we can go save him, we can save everyone, we just need to know where to go. Anakin says, I know you're lying, Mother Pran, but so was Grecker. The distress signal was located another half day's travel past where the Fissures attacked, on the same heading. Let's go save my master. And she says, no, you're too valuable to risk, you'll understand someday. And she basically tasks Kalara and the other youths of the Open with watching over Anakin as she leaves to lead the attack. So that's how we end the book, with the war coming. And as I said, I think it lacks a little impact at the end just because we don't know the scale of this battle. Like, okay, the Open have a little bit more tech than we thought they have, but beyond that, like, we don't know who they're fighting. Like, we don't have any idea. Like, if this is a big thing that Anakin has repaired the Open's mechs, like, who are they actually, like, fighting? Because, like, the closed aren't going to have a lot going on, so I assume it's just going to be Obi-Wan defending. Now, I think the other implication that's happening here is with Sarah mentioning all this stuff about, like, the older people are poisoned, the youth are the only hope for this world. I think they're very much implying that, going back to issue 3, one of the sky gifts that we now know is from Sarah was this, which is a previous one that Kalara had. Now, this is, I thought this was some sort of a mystery thing, that there was going to be a huge mystery behind it, but ultimately it is just that Kalara has kept this beautiful piece of art for no other reason than she likes it. And I think that's sort of implying that, plus her reaction to what Pran did in attacking the ship when they left, and I suppose realizing, like, why are we really kidnapping Anakin after he's been so, like, kind to us? I think Kalara is going to free Anakin and lead him to where the battle is taking place so he can help to save his master and potentially stop whatever war Mother Pran is doing. That Kalara will do something to stop her. Grecker, I assume, is just flat out dead because we didn't see him get up. But that just means we are now without knowledge of, like, any closed person in the entire story. Sarah, I assume, probably will die in the next issue to basically create a spot for potentially Kalara to take up, that she will somewhat become a youth leader and try and fix the planet using the technology that Sarah has built up, along with potentially some of the youth of the closed. Will Anakin stay behind actually for a while, since he's separated from the Jedi Order, to help things on this planet? maybe that's potentially the road I can see them going down, where like Obi-Wan leaves on his own and at some point comes back for Anakin after he's helped out. Um, but ultimately, the Anakin side of things has to lead, I think, to some degree to him realizing that the Jedi is where he needs to be, and that even though there are certain rules about what they can do, he can still help people himself. There's going to be like some sort of a subtle thing where like Obi-Wan, like Anakin is really shocked that Obi-Wan is actually helping out when he's just like, no, I thought we were ignoring these people, but Obi-Wan is just like, he's I think Obi-Wan's going to have somewhat of a kind of humorous moment where he's just like, you know, Anakin, we're involved in this now, like we have to finish it, and Anakin's just like, oh, we can do that, and that's where he gets his kind of attitude, I suppose, in the Clone Wars, where he tends to kind of bend the rules when necessary to kind of get what he needs done. Um, you know, knowing when to break the rules, I suppose, is what he's potentially going to learn here, and that what Palpatine is saying isn't necessary really, because he can accomplish a lot as a Jedi, but I'm not fully sure. Um, the issue I had was that there was something really interesting going on between the open and closed. We knew there were a conflict with each other, of course. I think simplifying it down now to just there's going to be a battle in the next issue takes away some of the complexities of like what's actually going on the planet. Whereas I would have much preferred to actually delve a little bit into what happened in the past, like who did what in relation to like hurting the planet, and where the planet is actually going from here. I'm very worried just that with one issue to go, we are not going to have enough time to resolve everything with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and potentially Palpatine, have Anakin rejoin the Jedi Order, resolve this war that's happening, and also leave off this planet with us feeling like we have a sense of what happened and where the planet is going from here on out. I think that's where we're kind of missing a couple of things, that they should have been threading this stuff together to link it together much earlier on, and they're leaving it very late, I think is the best way to describe it. But I'm going to end the video there, the review. I like the issue. I'm excited for issue 5, but I'm also a little bit concerned about this series being able to wrap up effectively with just one issue. But that's been the review. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on it and the issue if you've read it yourself. Other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.